Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Today is the International Day of the Girl. It's Tuesday, 11th October, and we celebrate the 10th anniversary. It was a day like this, 2012, when we officially launched the International Day of the Girl. And today, to have this conversation on what that means for the girl child in Uganda, I have a team from Girl Up Initiative who have come to not only just, create awareness and urgency around what it means to be a girl in this generation, but then also to help us understand, what's our stake, what is in it for us when we think about, celebrating the girl or, raising up the girl or putting the girl on the spotlight. And today, to help me have this conversation, I have on my extreme a lady who is a staff for Girl Up Initiative, Emily Tumusiime. Welcome to this conversation.
Thank you.
And next to Emily, I have Joan Atuhaire, and she is an advocate under the She Leads program at Girl Up Initiative. Welcome to the conversation.
Thank you so much.
And last but certainly not least, I have Namata, who is also an advocate at Girl Up Initiative. So the whole house has Girl Up. And I am glad to start this conversation with you ladies, but most importantly, to help us understand, why Girl Up takes critical interest in the Day of the Girl Child. And just to chip in for us to understand how it adds up to what the work that you do at Girl Up Initiative. Help us appreciate, the work that you do, but in relation to the Girl Child celebrations. You can start, Emily.
Okay. So, the International Day of the Girls, the theme this year is Our Time is Now, Our rights, our responsibility, our future.
Yeah.
And we as Girl Up, we empower girls in different aspects. Life skills, self-esteem, leadership skills, so that they're empowered to go out there and lead and take up leadership positions. So today being the Day of the Girl, we celebrate the girl child. We celebrate what they go through. So we want to know what they have been going through as a girl and how we can help them to make it better for the future for them so that they can all be living happily in the communities that they come from. Yes.
All right, Joan, for the work that you do at Girl Up under the She Leads program, what key takeaways are there for the girl child?
The key takeaways. Well, under the She Leads program, it's a 5-year consortium program that deals majorly with the objectives of inclusion of all girls and young women, despite of your ability, despite of your look. We include every kind of girl, and it is basically inclusion in decision-making processes at all platforms, basically beginning from the ground levels, that is the families, the local communities and all that. Yes, so the takeaway that I can give to the girls and young women is their inclusion in decision-making processes is a key factor to seeing a sustainable influence and impact in our communities for a betterment of the kind of lifestyles that girls and young women go through as them being girls. Yes.
And then how do you engage, different stakeholders under that program, especially to advocate for voice and agency for girls?
Okay, thank you so much. Well, the way that we are able to engage them is through inviting them. And we have coaches. Our coaches help us to get in touch with them. They bring about, they create dialogues whereby we get to have conversations, honest conversations with them. And through this, they are able to hear us out, and they are able to take on the points that we put forward to them.
Yeah. Okay. Let me add Mary to this conversation. The theme is our time is now, our rights, our responsibilities, and then our future. And one of the key asks is support leadership of adolescent girls. And I'm imagining that as you train these girls or as you engage with these girls, you are positioning them for leadership. So how are you engaging them on that level? And how many girls do you take up as Gala?
Okay, thank you so much. Okay, yes, we, like, under the Gallup Initiative Uganda, like, we are dealing with the adolescents, right?
Yeah.
And we are training them how to become leaders. Here, like, for example, like, we carry out, okay, like, we create safe spaces in different areas. For example, the Kawempe safe space, the Ntinda, Nakawa, and all that.
What do they do in those spaces?
Like, they are given chances to bring out
Their
like
leadership.
the challenges
Yes,
and
okay,
everything.
okay.
So on the leadership thing, we give them opportunities to become leaders, whereby we can choose two girls. One is the mobilizer and all that, to lead us maybe for 2 months, so that their talents are brought out. Like, we train them in that way.
Yeah. Have the safe spaces, been efficient in helping them deal with the different challenges that they face?
Yes, exactly. Okay, to our safe spaces, like, girls have come out. Okay, they are becoming more confident. Like, whereby when they come up with these stories, maybe from their villages and all that areas they stay in, they bring them to the safe spaces, so that we talk about them. Like, we give them the platform to talk about them, and we come up with solutions.
Yeah. And I love, I'm a child of equipped circles mostly, and maybe also leadership trainings. And I understand, the value in having a safe space. A lot of times, a lot of the conversations that we've had as women, the first rule or grounding rule is this is a safe space. And it builds, on your vulnerability to be able to understand the different things that you deal with. Maybe to continue this conversation, Emily, especially on what the girl child has experienced post-COVID or within the COVID period. And when we look back on post-COVID, how were you able to support these girls during the COVID pandemic, especially to help them build resilience into now to, survive the different challenges that happened within that period?
Thank you very much. I'll first begin with adding on what she has been saying. We have a program, an adolescent girl program, where we engage different primary schools. So in these primary schools, we get about girls between the age of adolescent, the adolescent age. Yes. So we engage them throughout the year, beginning from first term, second term, third term. So we involve them in different topics. We begin with her changing body. We let these girls appreciate themselves as they are. Then self-esteem, self-confidence. Then as we take on through third term, we help them maybe identify their strengths, so they can be able to realize their dreams in the future. Yes. So by the time we finish the program, usually you find the girl, the way they started, there's an impact. Yes. There's a change in the way the girl is behaving. There's a change in how she's reacting with her peers. Usually these girls we find, and alongside the adolescent girl program, we have the boy champions program. So this is to make it not only about girls, because we live in the community with boys. So we want also the boys to engage in the changes girls go through. Some boys have myths about menstruation, and they make the girls uncomfortable in school. So we engage the boys as well to let them know about the girls and their changes, so that the girls are comfortable. For example, in class, if she stains her skirt, a boy could help her out. So she cannot, some girls miss school because of menstruation, by the way. So we started also a program in the deep areas of the eastern region, where the girls are being taught to make the reusable sanitary towels. So to your question about the COVID-19, most parents have not been able to pick up financially. So we are really trying to provide scholastic materials, scholarships, even mentorship. as well. And then we also have a segment under Gallup Initiative. It's called Mazuri Design Hub. So this trains the ladies to do tailoring, handiwork, yes. In fact, even the safe spaces under She Leads, these girls come up with business ideas themselves. Business ideas, they create jewelry, they create artwork, they do bakery. So during their trainings, they learn how to market their products, how to earn from their products and grow. Yes, so the Mazuri design, we still mentor them business-wise, so that when they go out there, they're able to expand themselves, like not alone in leadership skills and all that, but also money-wise. So they have something in their pockets. Yes. Then what else?
How are you finding access to markets for them? Because I'm imagining that you equally want to protect them, especially because they are adolescents, they are teenagers, they are young. How do you create markets for them for the things that they've been able to do through those skilling programs without putting them at the forefront of these businesses? Yeah, it's very critical.
Okay. The design hub itself does the selling. Does the selling, yes. So at the end of the year, they usually make items, because throughout the year they're literally just being under training. Yes. Then by the end of the year, they go through tests of let's make this, then they graduate. Then the items that they've made, they're always put out there for people to buy, people to yes.
That's interesting. Let me bring you in, Joan. She tickled something that I keep wondering how we've really addressed it, especially Ministry of Gender and Ministry of Education. But if I add civil society, then I would add you. We had an upsurge of teenage pregnancies during the COVID crisis, the COVID-19 crisis. And for some reason, my argument has always been that they don't need to really go back into active school, because it may not answer the questions for what they need, but that would think of an alternative post-COVID curriculum, but also post-teenage pregnancy curriculum for them. And scaling would be the ideal. So do you have teenage mothers who are part of these programs that you have for the girl child?
Thank you so much. Well, I must say yes. Like I spoke at the beginning, in She Leads, inclusion is the spark of everything. We embrace inclusion, whereby every single girl, whether you're a teenage mother, whether you're disabled, they're all included. So I must say yes, we have teenage mothers amongst us. And as you talked about what you would call the post-teenage pregnancy kind of program. Well, in our safe space, I must say, we embrace skills. Yes, we embrace skills. I'll give you an example of, we have a Kawempe safe space where we have a group of girls and young women that meet up there. They air out their issues, they share ideas, they bring up skills. So in this way, they've been able to come up with different skills, like farming skills, whereby they do most of the vegetables and they sell them out. And then in that campus of space, they also embrace hands-on skills like hairdressing, bakery, amongst others. So even this subspace, it helps these teenage mothers to attain skills, and they are able to at least be somewhere. Yes, even when most of the formal schools do not have spaces for the teenage mothers. Like it might not be the same case with the university, because I'm a university student, whereby now, like for example at Makerere, where you find that they have a kindergarten section. Sorry, I don't know. I shouldn't call it really kindergarten, but there is
Like
a section where
a
daycare, where if you have a child, you can go leave the child there, then you attend class, and it may not be the same case with a secondary, and so in this kind of way, we as Shillits have been able at least to empower these teenage girls who are not in school to be somewhere, to have a skill, to to also be able to empower themselves. So even when there is no specific program that can help them to go back into the formal kind of schooling, at least we are doing our best to not leave them behind.
Not to leave them. It's very important not to leave them
very,
behind,
very
especially if that is our agenda for 2063. And Mary, maybe to tap into what she talked about on making reusable pads, my mind then started to wonder what alternatives are there or what programs are there for the rural girl child when we speak about challenges of period poverty, but then also access, like she was speaking, access, to girl-centered services that I can walk in and have information on. I really don't want to add girl and family planning in the same conversation. It's something I struggle with, but that's also a conversation we need to reflect on. If we really want to have an honest conversation, what does that then look like for adolescents? But information and centers where girls can receive services that are friendly to them, and spaces even within our health facilities that accommodate the girl child to be able to get relevant services. And then my mind went, because when we talk about Kawempe, we talk about CBD, the slum areas of so how are you planning for the rural girl? Because that is where the divide then happens, especially in issues to do with period poverty, access to health care, to reproductive knowledge. What are you doing as Girl Up?
Yeah, okay, thank you. Okay, as Girl Up, like, we're coming up with this ideal whereby, like, we're educating these girls around Kawempe space. Of course, like, these girls come from villages, right? Yes, we are giving them the knowledge.
Are they from the outcasts of Kampala or from within Kampala?
Yes, they are from within, but of course, like, they don't stay in town, like, they have their villages, right? So, like, we're giving them, like, the knowledge, so that when time comes, when they're going back to their villages, they carry out the knowledge to their fellow girls, and fight, like, against that thing of, like, menstrual period.
I'm still not convinced.
Okay, I'll add
I'm still not convinced. Let me bring you in, Emily, especially because I ask this. When you spoke about the East, I felt like, oh, that's a little bit out of town. The challenge is, even when we have the affirmative action for the girl child who enters university, we need to create equity. We need to have district quotas for the rural girl so that she can compete, ably with the class system within the towns. And so I'm wondering, for the girl that, most probably will never sit in the safe space at Kawempe, what alternatives have you created in helping them, empower them, to help them deal with, especially the reproductive agencies that we have? When it comes to period poverty, when it comes to reproductive health, what are you doing? What initiatives are there?
Okay, under Girl Up initiative, there's another program. It is called the Nietu program. It's majorly a health-related program. So it talks about sexual health and reproductive systems. So, the people involved, the stakeholders involved in that program, involve the health facilities, health center 1, health center 2, from the villages and all that. And majorly, their key areas are teenage mothers and the adolescent girls. Those that are starting to realize their feelings, have a crush on someone, those kind of things. So they mentor these girls and teach them to be patient, the ones who have not yet given birth. Be patient, but also not to make these teenage mothers feel like, I made a mistake. Yes? And now I have to pay for it. Yes? Yes, you made a mistake, but you can come out of it. Yes? So they mentor them, and they usually have partnerships with different other companies that also maybe are in line with sexual health and all that. So they go through the health centers, talk to those clinical officers, talk to all those nurses, to put those programs. So we have people that you work with in the health centers, the health officers, so that when a teenage girl comes or a teenage mother and all that, maybe they lack knowledge about something, these ladies are there to help them, yes, to mentor them and tell them what they're supposed to do. Yeah, to move on.
Maybe just to you, Joan, come in because I see you burning with something.
Yes. Yes. To answer your question, where you said how do we engage also the girls from the outskirts of Kampala? Well, I must say, as she leads the program where I fall under, we have implementing partners. We have a group in Bujiri, that is Busoga side, that side, yes.
Yeah, that's a east.
Yes, and Mokobad, whereby we also have girls there, a group of girls and young women under the She Leads program. And these girls are mentored the same way that we are. They receive the same support that we do. And in this way, they are able to impact on their fellow girls within that rural area. And then also in Karamoja, we have also an implementing partner there, KAU. And in this case, there is a time we happen to have a chance to interact with our sisters that come from the outcasts of Kampala. And if you hear the stories of these girls from Karamoja, you'll be amazed because villages are being impacted. These girls can now sit on the same committee with the local committee full of men, and they also pass on their views, and they also be part of whatever decision is being made for them and for their communities. So when it comes to the outcasts of Kampala, I must say we are being implemented, and I believe we are broadening. By the time the program will end.
It's important to broaden out.
Yes.
I love that you keep, because I keep hearing you say they're being mentored the way we are mentored.
Yes.
What's the hierarchy for mentorship? Is there like your mentor to mentor or peer to peer mentorship? You know, how are you mentoring each other, or how are they being mentored?
Okay. Okay, I must say now, like for example, in our safe space, we were able to sit down in a session, because we always have our safe space sessions every Friday in the afternoon. So we were able to sit down and we were able to cite out the skills that each one of us possesses. And amongst us, remember, we all come from different.
So there's a diverse group of people that sit in the safe spaces.
Yes. So amongst us, we have girls that have counseling skills, that have guidance skills, that can be capable mentors. And also, we have a wonderful organization that we fall under, Gallup Initiative, whereby when we are in need of a professional, because we are just youths, we are not yet. But if we are in need of a professional, they are able to provide us with one. And also our coaches themselves, they always mentor us. So I must say, when it comes to mentorship, the kind of hierarchy we have, I think, diversity, whereby we can have peer-to-peer. We can have a professional coming in and, mentoring us, telling us about different things. So for the mentorship, but the biggest percentage of the mentorship that we have, that all we get is peer-to-peer, because we understand we. So.
Yes, I hear you. I hear you, because I'm equally a peer mentor, but to someone that is she's older, I don't want to say it's a peer. She's younger, I don't want to say she's a peer. I'm a bit older than her, but I'm also a child of mentorship. So I understand the value of mentorship for a girl child. Especially, maybe let me just back up on, when I was in school, we had something called go-getters. And I was a mentor, a peer mentor under go-getters. And it helped me, not only build on myself as a person, but also appreciate the space in which you can actually build confidence and agency and be empowered. And then I say that to ask whether, as Gallup Initiative, the schools that you work in, do you have, sort of social clubs or, a unit of girls that you've mentored to be able to mentor others? Let me give it to you.
Yeah, okay. Thank you. Yes, like for that question, yes, we have clubs. Yes, because these children we mentor, like we believe that when they go back to their schools, they're okay. They have that chance to also mentor others.
Do you follow
So
up on them in the
yes, we
schools?
do.
Oh yeah.
Yes, we do. Like we take some days and we go there and follow up on what they are doing, like the skills. Are they using the skills to teach others, like to mentor others, or they are just like seated with the skills? So yes, we do the follow up to the schools we go to.
You want to come in there, Emily? Let me know. I can see you smiling. Maybe also to just, twitch your brain on then what has been the outcome? Like, what has been your quick win when it comes to the adolescent girls? Like, what changes have happened along the way that you can hang on this, International Day of the Girl?
I think the biggest win is leadership. Because, when you start with these girls first term, they usually haven't gone through the campaigning period at school. So you find the girls, we usually have like a pre-test asking them like, do you want to be a leader? Do you wish to be a leader? So you find most of them are holding back. They would want to be leaders, but they fear. They have their own fears. They fear they will not win. They fear the boys race take the big positions of head prefect in school. So when we mentor them through the leadership skills and self-confidence and self-esteem, usually when you follow up like second term through the campaign period, through the voting period, we notice that our girls are up there. They're actually taking up those positions. We are having girls being head prefects. We are having girls taking up those spaces that they before they don't feel like they were able to. Yes. So by the end of the program, usually in a school, there's that big change in terms of leadership, in terms of self-confidence, in terms of loving themselves as they are.
Yes.
And feeling good about themselves.
I know because the personal is always political. When you need to first, deal with the
Discover
individual
yourself,
narrative before you, try to bring the collective onto board. So I hear you when you say to love themselves, especially in a time where our mental health is very critical. And that is where my next question is going, Joan, on mental health. How have you, navigated the rough waters of mental health, especially when it comes to adolescent girls and dealing with issues of resilience, of bullying, and self-esteem? How are you building them up into, that empowerment, that agency?
Okay, thank you so much. Well, that brings me to something that I've just remembered. Under She Leads and under our safe spaces, we have a culture of embracing a theme of every month. Yes, and that brings me back to, I don't exactly remember the month, but the Mental Health Awareness Month. Yes, we embrace mental health big time because it all begins with your mental sanity, for you to be a whole and to be able to embrace the person that you are. So when it comes to mental health, it is basically done, we basically fix it right through the different engagements that we have, whereby we 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 focus on participation. When it comes to participation, it means there is full participation of each and every person. And in this way, when someone is able to feel safe and to feel confident enough amongst the people that she is in, she's able to open up. She's able to tell whatever she wants to tell. And in this way, the person is releasing whatever is holding up. Yes.
Do you have like on-ground counselors that talk to these girls, or therapy, or do you like provide those services to the girls?
I must say yes. We have on-ground counselors. Yes, and that is also a big thank you to Gallup Initiative Uganda. We have counselors that are also staff of Gallup, but they are always on ground to help the girls, to help us, the girls, yes, when it comes to any counseling and guidance services that we need. And I must say, it is always a worthwhile session whenever we have a session with them, whereby we see positive results that come out of those sessions, and girls are more open and they are more, confident, and their self-esteem boosts up. And yes, so there are on-ground counselors that are there to help.
That's nice. I love how how you add yourself to this
Of
conversation. Because it's a lived experience. It's
Yes.
quite more richer than a person who is most probably giving a report of what has
Yeah,
happened,
true.
but that you've lived through
Yes.
these realities. You're part of the beneficiaries of these programs, so it always makes me smile to
Yeah.
hear you speak from that point of view. Mary, maybe to bring you in. If I lose my thought of trail, I think it's disappearing. But in regard to what she said on talking to people and being able to help each other, have you on a particular day had girls who are beyond the help that you guys offer, that you need to refer to entities outside Gallup?
Yeah, okay, thank you. Yes, like how my sister was saying, yes, I remember we had that month of mental health.
Yeah.
And during our safe spaces, like we carried out storytelling. Yes, because
Storytelling.
yes, storytelling. Okay, like the point is it is a safe space. Like we feel safe, we can say out anything. Yes, and I remember like we had those real stories from our fellows, like the real things, like the how they came over, like mental health. Like some of them like come up with solutions to the problems they have. Like most of us, we learn more about like the mental health. So like to your question about some mental health like issues being beyond us, yes, we thank like the Gallup Initiative Uganda, because we have the coaches.
Yeah.
Of course, being a coach, you have to know like most of the things. You have to, yes, like these coaches have the knowledge beyond us. So like if we see that something is too much for us, we bring in the coaches to help us. And we have good mentors, like they have always come and help us solve some issues that are too hard for us to solve. Yes, and that has really helped us out, we as the girl.
Yeah, that's quite interesting. Emily, maybe then in the collective of understanding what this means for the girls, do these initiatives happen during the holidays or within the school term?
Both.
Both.
Yes.
How do you balance the education, like the continuous school cycle, but then also the fact that when they come home, of course they're going to find, gendered roles that are waiting for them, cooking, cleaning, fetching water.
Yes.
How do you balance that dynamic?
Of the girls in school, to I'm asking.
The girls in school,
Yes.
and then immediately they come out of school, because I'm imagining these programs are on a continuous basis. So they're in school and the programs are happening, but then they've got to balance between school time and then the programs within Gallup. And then you have, when the holidays come, you've got to balance between their gender roles, the cleaning, the cooking, the fetching water, the taking care of their siblings, with also showing up to get the skilling, to get the empowerment, to sit within the safe spaces. How do you niche up to have a balance so there is nothing contradicting the other?
Well, what I can say is the girls in school, in primary schools to be specific, we engage them during school time. So we engage the school administration, yes, engage the parents as well, to let them know that your child is under our program, yes. So usually we usually get a day and maybe prepare the day with the school so that it aligns with the school program. then visit the school. I'll give an example of how we went to the Eastern Uganda in Bukedia. So the school we went to, when the parents are also around, that informed them that the Gallup initiative is coming here, and the children are under this program. They're being sponsored by this program. So on that day, we get to speak to the parents. Yes, we get to find out how are the children behaving at home, in the community, and after joining the program, how has the program impacted them? Yes, is there any change? Is there something that we can do better? So I think the overall thing that we do to keep the dynamics is engagement. Engagement of both the parents and the teachers. So at the school, we engage the teachers more, because they're the ones with the children, to find out their leadership stakes at school, how they're participating in class. Do we have some lagging behind in class, and how can we help them, to become better in class also as well. And then when they go back home, that is when now we engage the parents. We're like, how is our girl? How is she doing? Yes. And since I told you we have also the boy champion program, so we also follow up on the boys. We have boys who had this mentality of, it's only girls that do housework, it's only girls that do this. So you find your sister is drenched in housework, and she has to read her books at the end of the day, and she's tired. So this program has mentored them to support the girl child, so that you can live alongside each other in this world. Yes. So the boys also give testimonies of, I can now even cook a meal, yes, as a boy, of which before it was like a bad thing for a boy to be in the kitchen, yes. But now they help out their sisters when she's in her period, because you also teach the boys to make the pads.
Oh, that's nice.
Yes. So we teach them to make the pads, and when they go back home, if they have sisters that are not under the program, for example, they could mentor them, teach them how to make the pads, or check for them the pads.
All right.
So,
I am going to stop us here for a moment, and then when we come back, we'll talk about our way forward, the activities you guys have planned for today, and then, what are our quick wins. Don't go away.
Digital rights are those human rights and legal rights that allow individuals to access, use, create, and publish digital media, or to access and use computers, other electronic devices, and telecommunication networks. Digital rights include a right to freedom of expression, information and communication through technology, a right to privacy and data protection, a right to credit for personal works, a right to universal and equal digital access, a right to identity, a right to anonymity, a right to be forgotten, and a right for protection of minors, among others. The state's digital rights are frequently violated through various unfair actions, for example, blockage of websites and social networks, theft of credentials, unauthorized use of people's data for personal gain, privacy intrusion, online censorship, arrests and intimidation of online users, internet blockages, and the proliferation of laws and regulations that undermine the potential of technology to drive social, economic, and political development worldwide. It is hence every citizen's responsibility to respect rights of other digital users and to speak out or report to the responsible parties when one's rights are violated.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Please take a moment to subscribe and like our channel, but then also to leave a comment as we continue this conversation on the girl child. And today is the International Day of the Girl Child, but also the 10th anniversary of this particular celebration. Ladies, I want to bring us back into this conversation, but before we go forward, I have a new person on the panel who is also going to help us understand a little bit more of what Gallup Initiative does and the work that they continue to do within the community in regard to the girl child. Welcome to the panel, Claire, Akumu.
Thank you, Tricia.
It's good to have you, especially because I want to now push you into this conversation and you help us understand the Big Sister Network. And I ask that because when I hear Big Sister, the first thing that comes to my mind is mentoring me, is holding my hand, is helping me lead the way, is talking to me, is all this guidance that comes with having, a big sister look at you. So what's the Big Sister Network about when it comes to Gallup?
Okay, thank you so much, Tricia. Well, the Big Sister Network, just like you mentioned, it's about mentorship, and it's a program that gives a chance to girls under the Adolescent Girls Program, those who have been able to go through the program and eventually graduated. It gives them a chance to be part of a community that is going to mentor them, that's going to guide them in different aspects like leadership, community that's going to push them out there to, take chance to exploit the different opportunities that they come across as girls. So it's mainly a community that brings together all the beneficiaries of the Adolescent Girls Program and mentors them, gives them a space to lead and to be, influential women. Yeah.
What's the age gap there? Between which age group?
Sorry?
The age group that it captures.
Well, the Big Sister Network doesn't really have an age group. Remember, the Adolescent Girls Program is quite diverse. We have girls as old as 16, as old as 18 in the program. So we do not really put an age restriction on it. As long as a girl was part of the Adolescent Girls Program, she qualifies to, to graduate to the Big Sister Network.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
It came to me because when we talked about the primary girls and then we talked about the adolescent, I'm thinking the adolescents are in high school. And then I remember that I was 17 when I walked into campus. Don't say I should have had a network of such a magnitude to help me navigate, campus as I was starting out. And I was very glad to hear that you have actually people from Shillings, that are within university. So, by and large, my question is, how do you then follow up into campus? Because I'm imagining some of them then enter campus. Do you keep the network open for even the campus students?
Yes, we do. We keep the network as open as possible because our main aim is to ensure that we are mentoring this girl through all the stages she is going through all the stages of growth. So we do not find it, sustainable to limit her participation to a certain stage. So we keep in touch. We always have events. We always have engagements where we bring them back home to engage them and to build them more as girls as they grow up. So yes, we do keep close touch with them. We do not cut them off because they are now into campus, because we believe that it's even a stage where they need us more because it's a very chaotic stage. Exactly. So we do not cut them off at all. We keep engaging.
That's very nice. Let me bring you in, Emily, just to take us back. We ended somewhere, but then to build to the future of the things that you're doing as we celebrate the International Day of the Girl. What are the key activities? And maybe all of you can then chip in for the different programs that you stand in. The key activities that you have planned out for today.
So today we have an engagement at Gallup Initiative at the offices.
It's starting at what time?
Starting at 9 a.m. till 1 p.m. So this activity is, we are going to bring in the girls that are part of our program and some of the boys, including also stakeholders. For example, the head teachers of the schools, the teachers, the local council, the chairman of the area, a few parents, and then us as Gallup. So today we are going to have, it will just be like a celebration for the girls to feel that, yes, this is our day. In fact, we are planning to have a girl MC, a young girl MC, yes, so she can feel what it means to take up the space. Then we shall have a counseling corner, games corner, music, dance, just
before
to enjoy.
Adults allowed to come.
Yes.
Adults like me.
Yes, everyone is invited. So there'll be a counseling section where if you feel like you have something that has really been burning you and this is the time, according to the theme, it's our time.
Yes, it's our time.
So use that chance, talk to someone, they guide you. And then also, it's going to be a day, today is going to be a day where the girls are going to air out their issues. Yes, because all stakeholders are going to be available. So they're going to air out what are the challenges they have in the community. they will go direct to the chairman. Yes, it's not like it's going to just stop there and they're just going to talk, but they're going to be there to hear these girls' problems, and it will be covered like media-wise.
Yeah.
So their problems will really be listened to. So we're giving them a platform to air out whatever that they're facing and how they feel about the day of the girl child. Yes.
When you said that, it reminded me of the local government council I saw where they called the people and they were talking about their issues, and they had a particular problem with their people that work at the local government, and it worked. They were held accountable. But I love that because Joan talked about voice and how it's important, to empower these girls with a voice, and it helps them, be able to articulate themselves in society, but then also to name their problems. And as a 90s child, I don't think we had the ability to call out our elders while we were growing up, and maybe to re-echo on the importance of these girls having a voice and being able to call, so and so did this to me, and I'm putting them to book to be held accountable. And that's very powerful, especially to have the local leaders there. If they're the ones in the problem, then they'll be called out. Let me think of where we then go now. How do we build on our time is now, our rights, our future? But I want you to help us, look at them in different categories. You can all decide to chip in on this one, on what that means for us when we say our time is now, our rights, and then our future. Particularly our rights, because I'm struggling with the right to education, the right to health when it comes to the girl child.
Okay, thank you so much, Tricia. Well, basing on our theme for this year's IDG, our time is now. When we talk about our time being now, it brings about the challenge of how ready are we for our time. Since it's now, are we ready? Are we positioned well? Because it's our time. And I must say, kudos to Shilits, because trust me, we have been prepared. We believe that we are ready, and really it's our time. And then our rights. I must say the rights are there. We have the best constitution. Our rights are there. And then accompanying the rights, we should also accompany them with our responsibilities, because our right is useless when the responsibility is not partaken. So our rights, we know our rights: the right to education, the right to health, the right to parental love and care, amongst others. And then we also know our responsibilities, because our right is accompanied by a responsibility. And for a right to be set out and to be carried out appropriately, it must be accompanied by a responsibility. So if we are ready for our time, which is now, and we know our rights, we know our responsibilities, and we are carrying out our responsibilities, then our future is bright.
Well, that's interesting. That's a nice way to put it. Claire, let me bring you in, especially on taking up space. Part of the conversation that happened on the Youth Day was intergenerational solidarity. How do we, borrow and, find space for ourselves in this dynamic where we have, the old, the young, and then narratives on ageism and on how it's making it hard for us to take up space. So when we talk about our time is now, how are we preparing the girls to be able to take up space for the future? We need to have more Kadagas walk out of Gala for the future. So how are you doing that?
Thank you, Tricia. So I think the key is mentorship. It will always be mentorship. To call it over and over again. To always be mentorship. I believe so much that if a girl is mentored to be a leader, to be an influential person, then she's going to take on the world. So I think we should look at how exactly are we mentoring these girls? Are we mentoring them enough? Are we preparing them enough to be able to take up the spaces? Because I believe spaces are there, but we have not been mentored, or we have not been molded into the people who can actually sit in those spaces. So how exactly do we mentor and mold these girls into people that can rise up to the occasion of taking up those spaces? And that's something that we are doing already, but we need to reinforce it, because very many girls are being left out of the conversation. There's a lot of focus being put on urban girls and forgetting the rural girls. So how exactly do we bring in the rural girls on board? How exactly do we mentor them? How exactly do we shape them to rise to the standards? Because many of these spaces are standards. You do not just bump into them. You need to have a specific standard or level of professionalism, of of knowledge. So how exactly do we get the rural girls as well to that standard
and put them on the table as well? Bring them in the space that is now. Yes. And maybe also you preempted something that we talked about earlier, but we didn't really go into the depth of it on storytelling. Joan said she writes and then she does poetry. And then Mary said, the girls are taught in storytelling. And I say that because I know for a fact part of our future is going to be that we'll be able to write our stories and be able to articulate, the different things that we've been able to accomplish and achieve, and put them on paper for other girls to read as well. Do you have almost, I don't want to call it a hall of fame, but an archive of the stories of these girls that have been told from time to time of where they are, what the mentorships have done for them, and what they've been able to achieve with time?
Yes, we do have an archive of such. I am also part of the She Leads. One of the things that we thought would really go a long way in ensuring that girls are achieving a sustainable mentorship and participation in decision making was collecting their stories for the girls to come to read. So we have what we call it a book, a newsletter kind of book. So every quarter we get to publish 3 phenomenal stories from different girls, stories that are standing out. So as we speak, we've already produced around 3 to 4 newsletters. So these newsletters are kept. So for every newsletter we have a different story. We do not re-echo the same girl over and over again. So this is ensuring that we capture the stories of a diverse number of girls. So in case 1 or 2 needs to go back and be inspired by 1 or 2 stories, they have a range of books to look for. Well,
that's interesting, especially in building our her stories. We no longer want to call it history, it's her story. So maybe to bring now Mary in building for the future, I need you to dream big. I need you to open your mind to see what the future should look like as we celebrate the 10th anniversary. When we come back, I want to have this conversation, and I'll be quite old. I may not be in TV, but whoever will be there to have a story on 20. At our 20th anniversary, what are the realities you want for a girl child?
Okay, thank you, Tricia. Yes, you've told me to dream bigger. Yes, for the 20th celebration. Okay, I would want, at least we should have girls on board, different girls on board, to speak for the voiceless. Yes, to bring out a real point. Okay, for the thing of peer to peer, it is always good to bring that girl in the same age group, to speak to the audience. Than the
older ones speaking for the young ones.
Yes, it is always really so important, because we will understand them better than those.
So your advocacy is for voice, so that the girl, whether young or old, has the individual voice. Well, that's interesting, because they have the lived experiences in the times. Intersectionality, Emily. When we talked in all this conversation, and I'm very hard on you because you said I am staff gala. Everyone else is from a program. When we had this conversation, she has actually started our conversation on having girls with the lived experiences speak for themselves. How have you, created in this network? So you don't have, one type of girl. She's okay. She's a girl. She functions well. Her brain works well. She's not dyslexic. She has no mental problem. How do you, break the heteronormativity of the girls that come into your space, but then also on the body abilities? I mean, how do you have this inclusivity of the disabled, the rural girl that she talked about, the challenge, mentally challenged girls? How are you, creating a network that is just not from the normal type of narrative?
Yes. Okay, so as Gallup generally, there are different sections, yes, but I'll mostly first focus on the she leads, yes. Um, these the different girls from she leads, yes. So all of us come from different communities, yes, and the different communities we come from, we see ourselves as representatives of those communities, yes. So we are tasked as girls from those different communities to always engage our fellow young girls, yes. So when we are coming to these safe spaces, we not only have our stories, but stories of other girls who may not be able to come to the safe space, yes. So every Friday you find maybe someone has a story about her neighbor who is probably going through something. And we find a way of helping if we are able to help. If you're not able to help, if it's really bigger than us, we engage the stakeholders to come in and help the girl. So the major thing that we do is inclusivity and community engagement, basically, sorry. So the different communities we come from, we make sure we don't only focus on ourselves, but the rest of the girls. From back home, from the villages we come from. If you ever go to visit the village Christmas time, come back with a story. Tell us, what did you see? Have you seen change? So we are always on the lookout. You don't move through Kampala just, yes? You're always looking what has happened. How is the girl being treated, yes? So we come with all those stories every single Friday when we come together. We come up with a theme of what we should talk about, what is really pressing, what is most pressing, what we should really engage ourselves in to see change. And we usually tackle these problems and make sure that there is change. We don't just talk about it and it stops there. Because there is talking about it and we feel safe and we don't, but we make sure that we continue and see that change. Yes, so that is what we do. We engage community and don't focus on ourselves alone. We focus on every single girl.
I hear you.
Because we see ourselves as representatives of all the other girls.
And that's interesting. When you spoke about that, when you walk through Kampala, me the people I see are the street children, especially the street girls. And I am constantly, guilt-tripped in what I could do about it. But I want to end this conversation without talking about the digital dispensation. Because, as much as we sit and have safe spaces, I'm very aware that, the internet and the digital world is informing girls on a daily. And there is little or less we are doing actively in making sure that you police you can't really police everyone's phone on what they're doing with the phones they have and the digital devices they have. And I also know, I check my privilege when it comes to this conversation, because there are also rural children who most probably don't even have access to a digital device. But that notwithstanding, particularly, how are you dealing with the digital issues and challenges that come with these spaces? Because these girls now have phones and they are connected on the internet. How are you dealing with the challenges of safety, of harassment, of abuse as they keep online? Because you can't always be with them in the safe spaces. How are you doing that? Maybe let me ask you, and then Claire will wind it down.
Okay. Thank you so much. Well, when it comes to that issue, first and foremost, that is something that you can never really stop. Like, the harassment on social media and the cyberbullying and all that. It is something that I don't think it can be stopped in the nearby future. Even when we have policies,
But we
that
can address it.
yes,
in the
we
moment.
address them. So how we go about such issues as girls and young women? First of all, I must say it was also through the mentorship that we receive, whereby we learn from different experiences, and we also learn from the experiences of those that are older than us, whereby they tell us when such and such a situation happens to you, this is how you can go about it. Just like Mary said, we learn through also storytelling.
Yeah.
Because through telling a story, another person is learning.
Yeah.
So when something happens to that kind of person, the person knows how to go ahead and handle a certain situation.
Yeah.
And then I must say, we've also had an initiative of creating our own safe online space,
Yeah. That's important.
whereby we have a Twitter handle
Yeah.
as Girls and Young Women, where we come and we are able to post and air out our views
Yeah.
at a free will, at a safe kind of point,
Mm.
whereby we are not even afraid of whatever kind of, comments that might come in and all that. Yes, so we've also had an initiative of creating our own online safe spaces on Twitter and also on TikTok. Where, and we also carry out our advocacy from there. And with time, we're going to broaden up and have handles on every social media platform to have at least an online safe space for girls and young women.
When you said that, I remembered I have a WhatsApp group and we are 4 people. And it is our safe space.
Exactly.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
exactly.
Maybe as we wind up this conversation, because the producer is looking at me weirdly. As we wind down this conversation, what are our quick wins on this International Day of the Girl? When you look back on how far we've come in understanding, the dynamics and the issues of the girls, what are our quick wins? Have we done better than we did 10 years back? That 11th October 2012 is something different 10 years back. Yeah.
Yes, I think we've come a long way. I think when we reflect back to 2012, we can see that the status of girls has seen a drastic change. We have girls that are more confident, girls that are more assertive, that are not, afraid to step up and, claim their rights back. And I also see a lot of change in terms of holding policymakers accountable. I think we've now been, we are able to actually hold them accountable for the different promises and policies that are just sitting on paper. So we are able to hold them accountable. What exactly are they doing? How exactly are they implementing these policies? And also I see a win in terms of safe spaces. We've opened up a lot of safe spaces, not only us as girls of Gallup, but also other organizations are opening up safe spaces for girls. And when girls have a community that they are safe in, they are more productive, they are able to, rise up to the occasion to lead. We have more girls taking up leadership in school, in politics, and I think that's a win. That's what it's celebrating. Yes, we do have a long way to go, but let us celebrate this. We've really come a long way in, even getting the girl recognized in society, because back then she was always in the shadows, kept back. But now she's out here, she's leading, she's thriving. Yeah, and I think that's
those are very good wins.
Yeah.
And I love that you speak about even just a girl being recognized, because that was even just fought for.
Yes.
For a girl to be seen as human first. Even before we talk about any rights accorded to her, she's human first. Thank you, ladies. It was a nice conversation to have. Happy International Day of the Girl.
International Day of the Girl.
I hope you tap a girl and encourage her and remind her that she's worthy, she's seen, and she's here for a cause. Thank you very much for joining us today. We continue to push for leadership for girls in every other corner of this life, for mentorship for girls in any other corner of this country, and also for a support system that can continue to help girls thrive. The safe spaces are equipped circles, the feminist leadership trainings, and any other space that girls can take up, so that, you know, we don't have a one-sex narrative in our development as a country. We also call upon the men, you know, to support the girls in their communities. There is a role you have to play. We can't do it alone. I mean, it's not a one-man army. As we leave, I want to end with, you know, the beauty of nurturing spaces and how inclusion helps in decision making for all of us. It is to the benefit of Uganda that women are put at the center of focus. As we celebrate this day, I hope you reach out to one lady and encourage her and, you know, smile and remind her that she's seen, she's worthy, and she's valuable. Thank you for joining us. Bye.